Roger Espin, Senior Board Member.
Ken Washington, Board Member.
Mr. Pincus still hasn't joined.
It seems as if we lost the chair also.
Here he comes.
My apologies. I inadvertently hit the wrong button, so I'm back in. Did we have everyone introduce themselves?
With the exception of Mr. Pincus.
Okay, Mr. Pincus didn't make it, didn't migrate over. Okay, we have a quorum without him. So if Mr. Wade, in the meantime, if you can try to figure out what happened, we're going to proceed. Okay, who had been appointed to represent the law department and share with us the list of cases that have been resolved?
It's good afternoon, Amy Skiles on behalf of the City of Philadelphia.
Good afternoon, Ms. Skiles. What do you have for us today?
Okay, so I have a number of cases that are now moot, or we have resolutions, beginning with number 1, HA 2021-005084, appellant Jamal Nichols. And the property is 139 North Edgewood Street. That is moot complied.
Moot complied, thank you.
For number 2, HA 2020-001132, the appellant Matt Mullen, Platinum Construction and Development, 2053 Watkins Street. I know there's a request for a continuance, and the department doesn't oppose that continuance request.
Okay, is there Mr. Michael Adler present, who represents the appellant? Okay, anyone else from Matt Mullen / Platinum Construction Development present? Okay, if the city doesn't object, and we will continue this matter.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Pettit and I just came out of the breakout room, and this was the first matter, at least I think we heard. Was there case number 1 or any other case acted upon?
Only case number 1 was moot complied, and
Thank
this case number 2 you just heard. That was it.
Thank you.
Okay, let us continue.
Okay, case number 4, HA 2021-001192, appellant Victor Bailey, 910 East Sharpnack Street. That is moot complied.
Moot complied, thank you.
Number 5, HA 2021-004934, appellant Mia Clayton, 2426 77th Avenue. That is moot complied.
Moot complied, thank you.
Case number 6, HA 2021-004942, Manuel Albandos, 2165 North 8th Street. That is moot complied.
Moot complied, thank you.
Number 7, HA 2021-004979, Sonola Hampton, 442 East Philelena Street. That is moot complied.
Moot complied, thank you.
Then moving on to number 20, that's HA 2021-005063. And that is Michael J. Reagan. The address is 500-36 Chestnut Street. The underlying violation is being withdrawn on this case.
Okay.
So the hearing is moot.
Okay, violation being withdrawn by LNI?
Yes, it's actually the Department of Sustainability, the Office of Sustainability, who issued this violation.
Okay.
But it has been withdrawn.
Okay, thank you.
Number 22, HA 2021-005088, Kelvin Alexander, 6519 North 12th Street. That is moot complied.
Move complied. Thank you.
Number 23, HA 2021-005129, Kareem Felder, 2001 Beach Street. The underlying violation has been withdrawn on this case.
Okay.
Number 24, HA 2021-005284, FAM and Co. LLC, 3130 Reach Street. This is moot.
Moot.
Yes.
Okay. Now I have a note here that was earlier withdrawn, but the proper label should be moot.
Well, if it was withdrawn, we'll let it be withdrawn. I know this property was sold, so if they
Okay.
why would they withdrew the violation?
Okay, just
Or
before we,
withdrew the-
yeah, I just want to make sure the record's clear. Mr. Wade, what is your recollection of the note on that one?
Just give me 1 second.
Okay,
I have it written down as withdrawn. I could just look at the folder though.
okay.
The email regarding Famco says they want their hearing canceled. The property was sold, no longer belongs to Fam Company. Please confirm the cancellation of this hearing.
Okay, so that's a withdrawal, it
Yes.
appears. Okay, all right, thank you. You can continue, Ms. Gauss.
Okay, so then moving on to number 26, HA 2021-05758. Ruslan Nikan, 2048 East Auburn Street. This is moot complied.
Move complied, thank you.
And number 27, HA 2022-000352, Max Silver, Independence Construction Management. This matter is moot.
Moot, thank you.
And then number 28, HA 2021-004253, Gwendolyn Cyrus, 4727 North 12th Street. This is moot complied.
Move complied, thank you.
And number 32, HA 2022-004462. The appellant is Thomas Baker, 2525 South Broad Street. I was speaking to counsel on this case prior to the hearings today. I believe we have an agreement. He will be withdrawing the appeal today.
Okay, so we should note it as withdrawn.
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And then,
Excuse me, I think that's him on the line.
yes, he is on the call.
Yes, that's and the name of the counsel is Vincent DeFino.
That's right,
Okay,
Mr.
so.
Chairman.
Yes,
How
sir.
are you today?
Doing
Mr.
well.
Chairman?
Just for the record, just identify yourself, and I just want you to, if you concur with the city's position.
Yes, Vincent Anthony DeFino. It's DE capital F as in Frank, INO. Yes, we have an agreement to withdraw, and we are working on correcting the violations and installing the fire alarm as we speak.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. You, if you want, you can enjoy the balance of your afternoon, or you can stay with us. It's your choice.
You're on, Mr. Chairman, I prefer to enjoy the balance of my afternoon. No offense.
No offense
Have a
taken.
great day. Thank
Okay.
you, and may I be excused?
Yes, sir.
Thank
Please.
you.
And then just as a note, numbers 9 through 18, I know the department is prepared to proceed with those, but it will be a time-consuming hearing if the board were so inclined to put it near the end of the list. I think that
Okay.
would make sense given the amount of time it will take.
Okay,
And
that-
then I believe my colleague, Mr. Reuter, has some additional resolutions.
okay, all right, thank you.
Hi, thank you, members of the board, Leonard F. Reuter for the city of Philadelphia. With respect to number 3 on the list, HA 2021-000284, 2809 Master Street. I believe Ms. Ferliger is here for the appellant. and she and I agree that the matter's got a very complicated and confused zoning aspect to it. So we have agreed to continue the matter. We think we can resolve it outside of the board. So we would just jointly request a continuance
Okay.
in the meantime. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Ferliger, are you present?
I am. Good afternoon, Meredith Ferliger, Ferleger, on behalf of the property owner, Axe Christian Transitional Services.
And may I just mention on the record that there is a typo in that appeal number. It is actually HA 2021-000287. Is the correct
287?
there, 287.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Okay, so we will continue this matter. This is a joint request for continuance.
that's correct.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good afternoon.
You too.
And I do have one other matter.
Okay.
Number 19 on the list, HA 2021-005059,
Yes,
2427 Manton Street.
yes.
They are represented by counsel, Mr. Andrew Miller, but I do not see him here. Andy? Well, probably because he also would agree that this matter is moot complied. The issue was not completing demolition under a permit. It went to the Court of Common Pleas. There was an agreed upon order to complete the work. I think they obtained a new permit to complete the work. They are continuing to do the work, so it's moot complied, but I wanted to make sure Mr. Miller understood that they have to continue to do the work and complete the demolition.
Okay, so based on
But moot-
today's
it's-
status.
This violation is moot complied because they got the
Compliant.
permit.
Okay, thank you. Of course, the board did have a question regarding timeliness of appeal based on the summer date.
Yeah, that appeals like 18 months late. So,
Yes.
but we're not gonna, it could just be marked moot complied.
Perfect.
We don't need to deal with that. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much. That helps a lot.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else?
Not from me, no.
Okay, Ms. Giles, anything else from the city?
No, nothing further in regards to resolutions or moot matters.
Okay, well, what we will do then, that group of cases, 9 through 18, we will hear that one last, those last, and we'll begin with all the others so we can get them out of the way and so that we can deal with the other matter. Okay, Mr. Wade, then let's go to number 8. I believe that will be the first one to be heard today.
It's case number 8, hearing appeal number HA 2021-004980, Araya Moore, 3026 Redner Street.
And good afternoon, Amy Skiles on behalf of the city of Philadelphia for this matter.
Okay, is Araya Moore present? Okay, no one speaking up regarding that address. Anyone here representing 3026 Redner Street? We have a lot of moot telephone calls. So, Mr. Wade, I'm not sure, we probably need to determine if this appellant is one of those.
I'm going to check the numbers on the appeal form.
Okay.
None of those matters, none of those numbers match the number on the appeal. However, this was continued from November 1st. And Len was the attorney for the city on this matter, that it was a possible withdrawal after reinspection.
Okay. And do we know if does the record indicate whether the re-inspection was done?
Yes, reinspection was done last week. Some of the violations have been complied, but there are 2 remaining violations that have not been complied.
Okay. Okay, this is, given that this is, will continue from a prior hearing. Ms. Giles, what is your pleasure?
We would ask for a city affirm today due to non-appearance.
Okay. Mr. Pincus, what time do you have?
1:44 PM.
1:44 PM. Mr. Wade, was the service provided?
Yes.
Okay, alrighty. We will then poll the board regarding HA-2021-004980. Array Moore, SAREH, MOORE, 3026 Retina Street, City affirmed non-appearance.
City affirmed non-appearance. Mr. Pettit, you're muted.
City affirmed non-appearance. Thanks, Ralph.
City affirmed non-appearance.
Okay, thank you very much.
City affirmed non-appearance.
Thank you, sir. Alrighty. Let's now move on to, I believe 21.
Case number 21, hearing appeal number HA 2021-005065. Timothy Martin, 6811 Finch Place.
Good afternoon, members of the board. Jeffrey Cohen for the City of Philadelphia.
Good afternoon, Mr. Cohen. Is Mr. Martin present? Timothy
Yes,
Martin?
I am.
Okay,
Yes, I
Mr.
am.
Okay, good. Sir, yes, perfectly. Would you mind raising your right hand so that you may be sworn?
If we could also swear in the city's witness,
Okay.
Inspector Anthony
Let me-
Martin.
Okay, let me finish Mr. Timothy Martin first.
I don't swear.
Well, let me get it out, then you can respond to my statement, okay? Put your right hand up if you would, please.
I don't swear.
But I will ask you to affirm.
I affirm.
Okay, but I'd like you to put your hand up to say that.
I affirm.
Well, let me finish. I can give you my statement. Yes, sir. You have to wait. Do you swear or affirm that all that you say today will be the truth so help you God?
I affirm.
Thank you very much. You can place your hand down. And your witness today, Mr. Cohen, who is that?
Anthony Martin.
Is he?
He is here. He just is muted. I'll give him a second. He's waving.
Okay, I don't see him yet, but I tell you what, when you call him, we'll swear him
Oh, no,
in.
he's here.
Oh,
He's
he's
on
there. I
the
see him.
Zoom.
Okay,
He's
I see him.
waving. He just needs to unmute his device. There we go.
Inspector Martin, I'm here.
Okay,
Good
sir,
afternoon,
would you raise
Inspector
your
Martin.
right hand so that you be sworn? Do
Yes,
you-
sir,
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give today be the truth so help you God?
I do.
Okay, thank you. You can place your hand down. Okay, Mr. Cohen, let us get started.
Thank you very much. Inspector Martin, if you could please tell us how many years you've been working with L&I and in what capacity?
Inspector Martin, license and inspections. I've been with L&I approximately 5 years, 10 years with the city altogether.
And in your capacity with L&I, have you performed inspections?
Yes, sir. I did the inspection at the stated address that we're discussing now. Yes.
Is that 6811 Finch Place?
Yes, it is.
And if it pleases the board, I'd like to share my screen at this time.
Yes, please.
All right, Inspector, can you and everyone else see what's on my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Then I'm going to scroll down to page 2 in the packet, the exhibit that's been pre-labeled Exhibit C1. Inspector, if you can tell us, what is this that I have on screen?
The notice of violation for his address.
What's the date on the notice?
It's, let me see, dated notice 11/9/2021.
And who performed the inspection that resulted in this notice?
I did.
And did you also perform a recent re-inspection?
Yes, I did. I tried to do a pre-court inspection. I called, the tenant stated that she no longer lives there. I came out to the address, left my card and rang the bell and there was no answer.
Actually, it's as good an opportunity as any. I'm going to jump to page 7 in the packet. If you can take a look, Inspector, page 7, 8, and 9. Who took these photographs that are pre-labeled Exhibit C3?
I did.
And when did you take these photographs?
These photos I took November 16th.
And are they, as of November 16th, a true and accurate representation of the property?
Yes, sir. I'm actually sitting out by the property now also.
And is this your card on page 9 of the
Yes, it
photographs?
is.
And that was left for anyone to call you back to get in touch with you for a new interior reinspection?
Correct. Since the tenant had moved, I left the card for whoever is there to contact me so I can do the inspection.
And has anyone contacted you?
No, sir.
All right, well, let's jump to the next page, page 10 in the packet. And actually all of the subsequent pages, 10 through 23. Are these photographs that you took?
Yes, sir.
And when did you take these photographs? Hold on, I'll jump back to the first one.
November 5th, 2021.
And are those a true and accurate representation of the property on November 5th, 2021?
Correct. Yes.
Starting with the first photograph on page 10, what can we see in this photo?
Well, actually, that one I believe is repaired because the glass was broke at the front door. And when I left my card, it didn't appear to be broken at the time.
And actually, I'm going to jump up to page 8. Is that the same glass panel right in the center that I'm hovering my mouse over?
Yes.
Okay, so that is one violation that was noted complied, correct?
Yes.
So I'm going to scroll down now to page 11. What is this that's depicted in the photo on page 11?
That was the light that the tenant was complaining about that was burning up and smelled like it was catching on fire.
And can you see sort of I guess, a grayish bulb on beneath the other CFL bulb?
Yes.
Is there anything else you can point out in this photograph?
Well, it definitely looks like there's some type of bad wiring that needed to be addressed.
And has anyone contacted you to take a look at this specific violation?
No, sir.
Moving on to the photograph in page 12, what is depicted here?
The open junction box with the spliced wires.
And is that light, well, is the light in this photograph on and drawing electricity?
Yes.
And is it hanging by its own wires?
Yes.
Is that safe?
No, it's not. And it was part of the violations to be corrected.
And scrolling down to page 13, what do we see in this photograph?
More open junction boxes, slicing wires, which is an electrical hazard.
And on page 14, what's depicted in this photograph?
On this one here, she was also complaining that the light was shorting. So that was one of the things also that I wanted him to address.
Well, the light bulb looks like it's touching the side of the fixture.
Right. The whole thing looks like it needs to be repaired.
Thank you. Moving on to page 15. Actually, sorry, let's look up at the top of the photograph on page 15, just over the door frame. What is that circle that's over the door frame?
It appears to be where a smoke detector was once located.
Is there anything there now? Or in this
Not
photograph?
when I was there.
Sorry.
Right. Not when I was there. No.
Was that one of the violations that was cited?
Yes.
Is there anything else depicted in this photograph that you'd like to mention?
No.
Scrolling down to page 16, what's depicted here?
That was the padlock that was on the rear window, which is definitely not safe because what happens if there's a fire and they need to get out?
I was about to ask, is the rear window a fire egress for emergencies?
In the case of emergency, you don't want anything locked and have to look for a key. So it's definitely not allowed.
So is that why, for example, if you have a rear door or an interior door, you need to have a switch to undo the lock as opposed to a key that you would put in to undo the lock?
Cor- That's correct.
Scrolling down to page 17, what's depicted in this photograph?
She was complaining about the bathroom was slow to drain and was having problems in there. So I'll take pictures of everything because I don't know when I'm gonna be able to get back in. So I'll take a lot of pictures.
Well, does that ring inside the toilet indicate sort of the presence of a water line?
Yes.
And scrolling down to page 18, is that a close-up of the sink in that bathroom?
Yes, and she was complaining that it's clogged and slow to drain.
And is the sink full of water in this photograph?
Correct, yes.
And how long did it stay that way?
Well, I only did it for a couple of minutes and it wasn't moving, so that was enough for me.
So a couple of minutes, the pool of water in the sink stayed in place.
Correct.
Okay. Moving on to page 19, what's depicted in this photograph?
She was complaining about the stove not working.
Is there anything that you can see in the photograph that you'd like to point out?
Well, it looks like it's missing the dials and everything from your photo as far as for the stove, and it looks horrible, but.
Well, but aside from the looks, did she try and demonstrate it for you when you were there?
Yes, she said that it wasn't working and that whenever she would have company, it's embarrassing and things of that nature.
And was that the case when you were inside?
Yes.
Moving on to page 20 is another photograph of the oven. Moving on to page 21, what's depicted here?
This is the wall that was peeling normally from some type of water leak where you start to get the sheetrock paper to start bubbling.
And are there little fissures in between where I guess you were talking about the sheetrock sort of bending outwards?
Yes, and you can tell it's starting to deteriorate from from the water damage.
And scrolling down to page 22, what's depicted in this photo?
That one there, I don't really, let me see. Hold on.
Well, specifically, is there anything about the window frame? And I can zoom in if you need.
I think I have a copy of my pictures also. Yeah, that one, okay, yeah. From the wall, looks like everything is peeling, chipped, and need to be addressed.
And scrolling down to page 23, the last photo in the packet, what's depicted here?
Right, looks like the cracks in the wall.
And are all of the, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, the cracks in the wall, the sheetrock starting to crumble in the corner there.
And are all the violations that were in the photos that we just went through, are those written up in Exhibit C1 on page 2, or starting on page 2, the notice of violation?
Yes.
And to the best of your knowledge, having reviewed the records, having done a recent reinspection, other than the front missing window, are any of the other violations marked complied?
Not that I'm aware of, because I haven't been able to gain access inside to verify one way or the other.
But again, has anyone contacted you to bring you inside?
No.
Thank you very much. The last thing that I would like to point out, which is more of a appellant admission, is on the appeal form, which is listed as Exhibit C2. The grounds for appeal are tenant wouldn't let work be done, which does not challenge the existence of the violations. It basically says that the tenant is the one to blame. But we have also heard that the inspector said the tenant.
That's not correct.
Excuse me, Mr. Martin, please don't interrupt. You have an opportunity in a moment to share with us your understanding of things. Okay, Mr. Cohen.
Actually, I was about to say I'm done with my direct examination. I would move that the 3 exhibits C1 through C4 be admitted, and otherwise I will turn it over to Mr. Martin for questioning of the inspector.
Okay, so moved. For the documents, Mr. Martin, do you have any cross-examination of Mr. Anthony Martin based on his testimony? Your general statements, you can make in a few moments, but specific questions.
Yes, I contacted him, his cell number, I called and left a message. And this was
Okay.
just last week when I noticed that
But what
his-
is the question? What is the
Well,
question?
I mean, I have photos of everything that they show, photos of what we've done.
But that's not the point at this point. I'm asking you, do you have any specific questions of him based on his testimony? If you don't, that's okay. We will give you a
Okay.
chance to
All
state
right.
your side in a moment. That's what I'm just trying to procedurally move through this.
All
Okay.
right.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Cohen, do you have any other witnesses?
No, and at this point, the city rests. Thank you very much, Inspector.
Okay.
Yes.
Unless the inspector is needed for anything else.
Yes,
they
I
can
want him
be
to hang
excused.
around until we are able to
I
get
have a
to
question, Mr.
balance.
Chair.
Yes, sir. Please. Ms. Washington.
On the report, I think the last entry made in there was outlets are loose and some sparks when used throughout the house. My question is, when was the last time you was in there to do an inspection?
The last time I was in there was the last date of the photos that was inside. That was the last time I was in there.
Would
When
that
I
have been
called,
a year ago?
yes, when I called to speak with the tenant, she stated she no longer lives there and doesn't have access to allow me to do any further inspections.
Okay, one more question. Do you have the same phone number that is written on his appellate papers? His appeal
Yes.
papers?
Yes, it
And-
has my work cell and office number and email on there.
No, I'm talking about his.
Oh, do I have his? I only had the tenant's number. I didn't have his number.
Okay,
The
no more
city would
questions.
point out, though, that on the upper right-hand corner of the notice of violations, it does have the phone number and email address for the inspector's district. That information was obviously provided to Mr. Martin because he appealed that notice of violations.
Okay.
No more questions, Mr. Chair.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Martin, your opportunity to tell us what you understand to be the case.
Everything that was told to repair, we have repaired and we have pictures of it. But they
Okay.
never showed us directly, but we working on it because we was unable to get in the place. We had to have the tenant evicted.
Okay. How long has the tenant been, when did the tenant vacate the property?
But she.
Oh, wait a minute, wait. There's somebody else speaking who
This
has.
is my wife. This is my wife.
Well, okay, this is how we have to do this. This is court. So she can't speak unless she's called as a witness. And then sorry, let me finish. Let me finish, Mr. Martin, I have to finish.
All right, I'm sorry.
She can't speak unless she's called as a witness by you, which you can,
Yeah.
but she'll need to be sworn in, okay?
Yeah.
And so if she has something to contribute, that's fine, but it has to be done in an order.
Okay, well, I like my wife to bring her in because she's more like in establish it better than me because I get upset. I can't.
Okay, ma'am, identify yourself, please.
Tanisha Martin,
Spell the first name.
TANISHA.
Okay, would you raise your right hand so that you can be sworn? Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you give today be the truth so help you God?
Affirm.
Okay, thank you. Before I proceed, Mr. and Mrs. Martin, are your names the only two names on the deed to this property?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Now, Ms. Martin, if you're going to be the spokesman, tell us what you understand to be the case.
So the problem is that it took us 11 months to get her out. And in the meantime, she caused damage to the property. And then she called L&I. So that's like kind of what happened.
Okay.
But we did we finally got her out after the very exhaustive, expensive court process.
Okay.
And multiple court cases, like late July.
So
And this
she
started
vacated
in September
Okay, but she vacated in July of what year?
this year.
2022?
Yes, and she
Okay.
also tried to assault my husband, and she was very argumentative, and they tried to hurt.
Okay.
So that's why we couldn't get in to do any repairs because we didn't feel safe without having like an officer with us.
Okay.
That
How
was
long,
the one thing.
okay, how long was she a resident in that property?
About 3 or 4 years.
She was a tenant for 3 or 4 years?
Mhm.
Okay. All right, and you were not able to gain access during the time of her tenancy?
No, not after a
Okay.
certain point. We just didn't feel safe.
Okay. Now,
And
is it your position today that all of the violations have been corrected?
well, from what we gathered, yes, but we didn't receive any pictures. So a lot of it, we kind of like read the citations and figured out the best we could.
Okay, I'm asking a
We
different
don't
question.
live there, so that's another reason why we have no idea when you came.
Okay, do you live in the city of Philadelphia?
We do.
Okay, and so as the owners, have either of you or both of you gone to the property since it's been vacated to determine what work needs to be done, and has that work been completed?
Yes, we have
We
pictures
done
of what
painted
was
out, we didn't,
completed.
Okay, wait. Two people are speaking. We can't have two people speaking at the same time. So one person at a time, please.
Yes, I have. I've been doing maintenance for 30 years.
But that's
I
not the
did-
issue. I'm asking, has the work that was noted in the
Yes,
violation
the
been
work,
completed?
the violation has been done. The only thing
Okay.
we waiting for, we had to order a stove. We had to order that from
Okay.
Lowe's.
So let's
And
do
that-
this. We need to have a reinspection done.
Yes,
And it's very likely that if what you're saying is accurate and based on the reinspection by Mr. Anthony Martin or someone else in the department, this matter may be resolved.
thank you.
But the photographs, do you have photographs that we can see online, that we can see
Yes.
on Zoom?
Yes,
Did
yes,
you submit them as part of your record for this hearing?
yes.
Okay, can you share a
Uh,
screen
I-
and show them to us?
The city objects to that. The city never received any photographs. And we did last week send Mr. Martin our exhibits packet with our own photographs.
Okay,
We-
Mr. Martin,
No,
did you
we
submit those?
never received it. We never received anything with pictures. Just like my man said that, he said that I didn't contact him.
Okay,
and
wait,
I
wait,
have
wait,
proof
Mr.
on my
Martin.
phone for calling him.
Mr. Martin, I'm not sure who my man is. The court reporter is recording it. You need to identify.
Anthony Martin, Anthony.
Okay, now, the second thing is this. Did you submit with your evidence to the board, the photos?
No, I did not. No, I did not.
Okay, now, do you have them electronically in your, I guess in your phone and or?
Yes, yes.
Can you show them, the objection is noted, Mr. Cohen. For the record, I'd like to see them, so I'm going to overrule the objection. But you share screen now and show us the photographs.
Yes.
Mr. Wade, can you give them permission to share screen?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I'd like you to walk us through these and tell us what we're seeing.
This is the window, the window that was repaired.
Okay, was that a violation?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
He said it was on his paper, a 2x4 was just holding it or something on one of them.
okay, all right, keep scrolling.
Okay. That's upside down. This was a wall that we had to repair.
Okay,
And this is the smoke alarm. Also, we had hardwire smoke alarm in the house.
okay, good, okay.
If I may, Mr. Martin, is the smoke alarm hardwired? Is it now working and operational?
Yeah, it always has.
It's always has been, but sometimes when we can't pay the alarm company, we had it down for a minute, but all it takes is us to call them. And but it goes off if it's a fire. The alarm did go off because it's hot wire. That's all it. And this is another window, the one window I had to put in the bedroom, the front window that we had to replace.
Okay,
Also, it was a leak around the pipe that we had to replace.
If I can object at this point, it's not clear that the photographs that we're seeing are a one-to-one match of what the inspector saw and noted in his own photographs.
okay,
So I'm not sure what the relevance is if he's fixed something that the inspector didn't cite.
Okay, so
Okay.
noted.
All right, well, the
Okay.
toilet, go to the toilet. Right here.
Mr. Chair, may I make a suggestion
Yes,
that we send the inspector out there?
yes, and that
That
would
we
be
make
my,
some
Well, let
type,
the- yeah,
make
let
some
the
type
inspector
of,
come out.
yeah,
some
I
type
just
of,
wanted to,
appointment.
yes.
Because, I mean, this is fine, but I have to, I can't tell
Yeah,
the
because he gotta look at
relevancy
the
of the
outlets and
photos.
all that too, so,
So
yeah,
if
let
the
him come on
inspector
out.
can be
Okay,
sent back out there, maybe a continuance.
yes. Well, yeah, and I wanted to just get a representation of the work that happened that Mr. Martin had testified to. So that's why I wanted to see the photographs. But your suggestion is appropriate. And so what I believe would make the most sense at this point is to continue this matter. Mr. Martin connect with each other, do an inspection, and you may not have to come back. Depending on what Mr. Anthony Martin sees, I'm not sure, you may be able to close the case. But Mr. Martin, you raise your hand, but given that you are a witness, your lawyer has to sanction your speaking.
If I
So-
could ask Mr. Martin what his email address is, there were two possible spellings, so I included both in my last email, but I would like to get on the record the proper spelling of Mr. Martin's email.
Mr. Tim@AOL.com. It's 2 T's.
Thank you. And Inspector Martin, not to make things
Yes.
confusing, did you get that email? Or I can, you know what, I
No,
can
but
offline, I can send you the email address and make sure that
Okay.
everyone's talking to everyone.
Right, and what I was gonna tell him, I'm actually out here. If he is in the area, I can do the inspection now.
Okay, I'm home. It'll take what 10, 15 minutes to get to, not even that.
All right, well, I'm here.
Okay, we're going to continue this matter based on a
Appreciate it.
re-inspection and potentially it'll be resolved. Thank you very
Thank you
much.
very
everyone.
much.
Okay,
Thank
have a
you.
good day.
I'll be sitting right out front of your house.
All right,
Thank
Okay,
you,
thank you.
Inspector.
Thank you.
very much.
Ms. Cohen, we'll move on. Thank you. I think we're on 25.
Yes. Case number 25, hearing appeal number 2021-005737, Nyok Thai, 436 Brown Street.
Good afternoon. Who's representing the city in this matter?
Good afternoon, members of the board. Mary Costello on behalf of the city of Philadelphia.
Good afternoon, Mr. Costello. Is anyone representing Ms. Thai? Please identify yourself, please.
I thought I saw her on the screen.
I did see her.
Okay, good.
Okay,
That's her speaking.
it is? Okay. Ms. Thai, would you raise your right hand so that you may be sworn? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give today be the truth so help you God?
Yes.
Okay, you can place your hand down. Before we get started, Ms. Thai, this particular property, is this your residence?
Yes.
It is? Okay.
Yes.
Whose name is on the deed to the property?
It's mine. It's my name.
Just your name?
Yes, just me.
Okay, thank you. All right, Ms. Costello.
So this case is a permit issue case, 3 permit violations for a building permit, electrical permit, and a plumbing permit. They were all applied for, but they haven't received their permits yet. I have one inspector here as a witness. And I believe I did see him on the call. It's Inspector Hogan.
Okay.
He's on here.
I'll ask him to unmute.
Hello.
He's on there, he just doesn't have a pit. There you go.
Hold on. Sorry about that.
Okay, Ms. Costello, is it your intent to call Inspector Hogan?
It is, yes.
Okay. Just identify and introduce him, please, then I'll swear him in.
Mr.
Christopher Hogan, Hogan, building inspector, LNI.
Okay. Raise your right hand, sir. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you give today be the truth so help you God?
I do.
All right, thank you. You can place your hand down. Ms. Costello,
Mr. Hogan, can you please state your name again for the record?
Christopher Hogan, Hogan, Hogan,
And how long have you worked for LNI?
4.5 years.
And what is your position with LNI?
I'm a building inspector.
Okay, I'd like to permission to share my screen, Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Mhm.
Mr. Hogan, I'd like to direct your attention to what's been marked as City Exhibit A. Can you please identify that document?
Yes, it's a notice.
Excuse
of
me, Mr. Chair,
violation.
could she zoom in? That's kind of small for me.
Yeah. Would you mind increasing it?
Sure. Is that better? Is that better?
How's
A
that?
little bit more.
Just a little bit more.
Okay.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mr. Hogan, what date was this notice issued?
It's December 15th of 2021.
And can you please just list the violations in this notice?
Yeah, there was 3 violations for working without permits. One was for work done without a building permit. One was for work done without an electrical permit. One was for work done without a plumbing permit.
Okay. Thank you. And I'd like to direct your attention to what's been labeled as City Exhibit B. Can you please identify what's in this picture?
That looks like the front of 436 Brown Street. There is a stop work order posted on the front window.
And why would that be posted?
They were, I guess, caught. The inspector went out and they were working without permits. So he put up a stop work order so that they would get permits to complete the work they were doing.
Okay. And what is this a picture of?
There's plumbing work done in, I believe, the kitchen area of the house.
Okay. And in this picture, what can we see right here?
Somebody, I guess one of the workers wrote down the violations and the complaint numbers that the inspector was drawing to their attention.
So they were aware of the violations then?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, this wasn't the writing of the inspector's writing. This was somebody that was working there, I believe.
Okay. And what can we see in this picture right here?
Inspector also posted stop work orders in the rear of the property. Looks like you can see where the back wall of the property is. They put in a bigger window or downsized the window, and it looks like a new fence.
Okay. And then what can we see in this picture?
It's just more of the same of just more evidence of work being performed.
Okay. And then finally, we have this picture. I think you've already commented on this, but can you just clarify again what is right here?
Yeah, that's the rear of the property. So they changed windows on the back wall and then added a fence in the rear. And it has 2 stop work orders posted.
And then right here, we just have, can you just identify this picture?
Yeah, there's construction debris probably from that rear wall. Like that's probably, where they added the windows. That's probably the wall.
Okay, and all of these pictures were taken January 11th of 2021, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and then I just have one final picture of the property. Can you please identify when?
I actually took that picture. I was driving by and there was nowhere to park. So actually this wasn't the greatest picture, but anyway, the property still exists.
Okay, and does it appear that people are living there based on the Amazon packages and Halloween decorations?
Yeah, it's actually the property next door, but yes, it looks like somebody is living there.
Okay, and what would they need to do to comply these violations?
They have to complete the process that they started. I think they realized that they needed the permits. So, maybe a year and a half later, they actually have applications for 4 permits. None of them have been issued yet.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Okay,
Excuse me, Mr. Chair.
yes, sir.
I was just looking at the last picture that was just
Yes.
up there, and I'm just curious with the address that's listed on there.
Okay,
Could you put that
Ms.
picture back
Costello?
up?
Yeah, you bring that up again, please.
Sure. So I think what the inspector just clarified is it is the picture, the picture is of the address. It's the door to the left.
Yeah, so on the picture, our like tracking device isn't exactly to the, you know what I mean, to the letter, but it's actually that block. The photo that you looked at last, the main address you're seeing is next door, which would be, I believe, 36. Let me see here.
Okay, it doesn't appear, Ms. Costello, that this particular image is relevant, and we can't discern an address. We don't know which property it is.
This is 434. This is 436.
Okay, but there's nothing on the 434 that tells us that.
It says 434 right there.
That's what that says. That image has to be clear. Then I
Yeah.
just now saw that. If you can,
Can you see it more clearly there?
Yeah, 434, next door is 36.
okay, all right, okay, thank you, Mr. Watson. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay,
I
thank
have
you.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I'm not seeing right now the full issue, all the items listed on the violation notice. Is the construction fence also listed as a violation? And is it something that, at least in my experience, putting up a fence that's 6 foot would need a permit as well from L&I?
So, Mr. Pincus, it's my understanding that it was not listed in the original violation notice that was issued. However, that is a violation and that would need to be written separately.
But the owner may not be aware of that violation as of today, as of this hearing. Is that correct?
Right, and in this hearing, we're not addressing the fence. No.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms.
just a-
Ty? Ms. Ty, do you have any specific questions of the inspector based on his testimony? You can give us your understanding of what happened later, but for the moment, do you have any questions, cross-examination of the inspector?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Costello, do you have any additional witnesses?
I do not.
Okay. Do you have any, have you rested in your case, or do you plan to examine anyone else?
I can rest my case after Ms. Ty makes her comments.
Okay. Ms. Ty, tell us what you understand, what happened here.
Hi, Your Honor and board members.
Yes.
We do know that we need permits, and it's been tough for me to find someone to work with. And so I waited for some time, but the permits I have started with the permits, and one of it is under review, and the other two, I think they're incomplete. I just checked the status, but I will go back and make sure that the 2 permits are completed so that the board can review and hopefully grant me the permit.
Okay,
to
well,
resolve this issue.
sure, the process will work its way through if you submit the appropriate information. But the question for 2 questions. One, when did you submit the permanent applications?
I submitted them November, I think the beginning of this month.
November of 2022.
Correct.
Okay, and my second question is, why did you have work start, a significant amount of work without permits?
I was not aware of, I wasn't aware that I need a permit for something that's already there. And that's my ignorance, being first time homeowner, and just and that was on me. But now I know, and I'm gonna take the steps to correct this.
Now, was your contractors, were they licensed and registered in the city of Philadelphia?
I think so. That's what he told me.
You didn't see any
But
evidence?
no. No, I mean, he painted some, well, walls for me before, and because I got his number from a friend. And when I was looking at this property, I noticed that it did need a lot of work. So I was like scrambling to find someone to come out to give me an estimate of how much I'm gonna need to, like, kind of clean it up before moving in. And he was pretty much the only one that I was able to get in touch with who followed through and came out.
Okay, and did he advise you as to whether you needed permits or not?
He said he was gonna pull the permit for me.
Okay, but he didn't.
Yes, he did not.
You still working with that contractor?
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
Any other
Chair, I have a
questions?
question.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Why did
excuse
you wait? You said you applied for permits in November of this year, so earlier this month.
Yes.
Why did you wait so long to apply for a permit for a violation of early 2020?
It was hard during the pandemic to find anything, and it's something when I call contractor, they just did not show interest in something. They said, oh, it's something small. You can go find like a plumber, go find an electrician and it was just hard, like getting people to call me back for something that someone else started. And now they're saying, okay, well, we have to go in and see what's been done. So they were just, I don't know, I just like wasn't interested to do that.
The applications that you submitted, the contractors you have now are licensed?
Yes, he's licensed. Yep, he's licensed. And we submit 3 permits. And I think on the electrical and plumbing, we might be missing some information. So I have to go back and complete those permits. But the building permit for the window is complete, and it's under review.
Thank you.
Is the work still incomplete? You haven't had anyone come back to finish the work, is that correct?
The window, where the picture that has been plywood, that was, and I think it was like an old window that so the back of my house, when I bought it, it has 3 separate window, like a small one, like a middle one, and like just like 3 separate windows that didn't match, like different sizes. So I think they took out like 2 windows underside and then put plywood and replace the window in the center. And then now we have to get permits so that we're gonna get someone to go in and fill in those 2 empty windows properly, and then I think we do the stucco in the back wall.
Can I just like to back up on Mr. Tennett's question? I mean,
Pardon me?
question.
Okay, I think Mr. Pinkers was had a follow-up question, and then it'd go to you, Mr. Washington.
Did you install the fence around the property as well?
That was a replacement. It had a fence before. It had a fence, and the whole backyard had pavers and like a lot of stone. So those were removed, and I put in like real grass, some turf in the back.
Okay, well, I just asked you about that because there's a possibility you may also need to get a permit for the fence.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Washington, you had a question?
Yeah, I just want to follow up a little bit. Your date of the notice was December the 15th, 2021, which there wasn't any pandemic at that time. And you just applied here in November. And I don't understand what was that gap in there that took you almost a year to apply for permits.
It was a pandemic. Like even after the pandemic, people are like start to get back to work. So all the contractors and everyone who was able to do the work, they were just so busy Like they didn't want to take on anything so small like what I had. So it was I had a hard time finding a person who can do. I mean, I was trying to find someone who can help me with all 3 permits. Because me trying to call a plumber, trying to call an electrician, they were just like not interested in something smaller. They said, oh, they have bigger jobs. And it was just like, yeah, it was just a tough time because everyone was like, you know, our businesses are open and they could start working on houses again. So everyone was just super busy.
No more questions, Mr.
All
Chair.
right, thank you. Okay, so any other comments, questions, or Ms. Costello, you have any follow-up?
So we would just close with the violations have been admitted, and we would ask for a city affirm.
Okay.
Well,
All right, thank you.
In that regard, let me ask, it appears that the appellant is trying to make an effort to deal with these violations. Is there a possibility that even if the city were to affirm, any further enforcement might be stayed? And is there a suggestion for a reasonable, do you have an estimate from the contractor, Ms. Thai, as to how long it might take to complete the work?
I don't have an estimate, but I did place. So after the permits are pulled and the work, this is from my understanding, I think after the permits are pulled and the work is like complete, I will have to call an inspector agency to come out to inspect the work.
Yeah, I think the issue here really is getting the permit. The violation is work without a permit. Once you acquire the permit, that satisfies the violation, I believe. The completion of the work is a separate matter, but the issue of pulling the permit is really what it comes down to. Okay. Anything else from anyone else? But Mr. Pincus, I understand your inquiry, and that's important. Okay. If there's nothing else, then we will pull the. Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, I have a question about the fence. Do I need to get a permit for the fence? It's like 6 feet.
Yeah, I think you should call the building inspector and get some advice. And they can tell you whether you should have a permit or not. I believe you do need a permit, but you should check with the building inspector. That fence is not part of today's case, so I don't want to.
Okay, yes, thank you. Yeah, okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. We will then poll the board regarding HA-2021-005737. City affirm with a 60-day stay of enforcement.
City affirmed 60-day stay of enforcement.
Thank you.
Any additional votes, please?
City affirmed 60-day stay.
City affirmed 60-day stay.
Thank you very much. Now, what we've done, Ms. Ty, is that we've confirmed the city's violation, but we've asked them to give you 60 days to comply with the requirement to pull the permit before they take any additional enforcement action.
Okay, gotcha. So I have 60 days to pull the permits only, and then like everything else is different. Okay.
Yeah, the violation is about pulling the permit. So if you have 60 days to pull the permit without the city taking any additional enforcement action.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. All right, thank you. Ms. Costello, do you have anything else? Was that it for this case?
That is it for this case, Chairman.
Okay, thank you. All righty.
Chairman, just to confirm, that was all 5 board members?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's move down.
Mr. Wade, I was on mute.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's right. Okay.
Steve didn't vote. Go ahead, Steve.
I affirm the city with 60 days.
Okay, thank you. My apologies. I thought you had voted. Okay. All righty. Let's move on then to, I think we're down to 29.
Correct. Case number 29, hearing appeal number HA 2022 004455. Joseph Hughes, 2740 Parish Street.
Good afternoon, members of the board. Mary Costello on behalf of the city of Philadelphia.
Okay. Mr. Joseph Hughes.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Hughes, would you raise your right hand so that you may be sworn? Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you give today be the truth so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hughes, before we proceed, whose name is on the deed to the property?
Mine.
Just
Joseph
yours?
Hughes. Yes,
Just yours. Yours alone.
yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Ms. Costello?
So this matter is about obtaining a use registration permit for a deck. And I do have one inspector today that I will be calling as a witness. It's Inspector Griffin, and she is on the call.
Okay, Inspector Griffin is muted. If you unmute yourself, ma'am, then I'll swear you in. Okay, please raise your right hand so that you may be sworn. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give today be the truth so help you God?
I do.
Okay, thank you. You can place your hand down. Okay, Ms. Costello?
Inspector Griffin, can you please state your name for the record?
Francine Griffin.
And what is your role with LNI?
I'm a code enforcement inspector.
And how long have you been with LNI?
About 28 years.
And permission to share my screen, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
And Inspector Griffin, can you please identify what has been marked as City Exhibit A?
That was
Excuse me,
the,
I need, could you?
Oh,
excuse me.
yeah.
Hey, Ms. Costello, we'll need to magnify that a bit. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'm having trouble hearing because there's background noise. I don't know where it's coming from.
Okay, yes, hold on a moment. Ms. Griffin, is there a lot of activity in your area, your work area?
No.
No? Okay.
I think if we mute Mr. Wade and Mr. McSherry, it might help.
Okay.
And Mr. Pettit is also unmuted.
Okay, let's do this. Let's start with Mr. Wade and Mr. McSherry and see if that helps. Mr. Pettit will be participating in the interrogation of the witness. I think that helped a little bit. Okay. All right. Let's proceed. Thank you.
Inspector Griffin, can you please identify again what has been marked as City Exhibit A?
That looks like the initial notice of violation.
And what date was that notice issued?
March 4th, 2019.
And can you please clarify for the record what the violation notice contains? What violation?
It's basically saying that a use registration permit was required.
Okay. And can I please direct your attention to what has been marked as a City Exhibit B? Can you please identify what's in this picture?
That is the front exterior of the property.
Okay. And can you please identify what we're looking at here?
That is the rear deck.
Okay. And finally, this is our final picture. And can you please identify what we're looking at again here?
It's just an additional picture of the rear deck.
Okay. And what date were these photographs taken?
I'm sorry?
What date were these photographs taken?
I can't see the date.
Could you just confirm that these photographs were taken November 17th of 2022?
Yes.
And you took these photographs?
Yes.
Okay. And what would the appellants have to do to comply this violation?
Obtain a zoning permit.
Okay. And have they taken any steps to do that as of yet?
I haven't seen anything in the Eclipse system, so I would say no.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Inspector Griffin. No further questions.
I have a question of the inspector. Inspector Griffin, is it the issue of the deck above the garage or the whole structure that's the problem?
I believe it's just the deck. I wasn't the initial inspector on this case. I just previously was sent this case to go out and do the inspection for this hearing. So, but it says that a permit was needed for the rear deck.
Okay, and I guess the other issue is why is that a use registration issue?
That's what was issued. That's what was written up. I don't know. I'm just,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, let's do this. Mr. Hughes, do you have any
Yes.
cross-examination of the inspector based on her testimony?
I just have a question, kind of, I do not have a deck. It's just a blacktop roof on top of there. It's just a garage with a blacktop roof.
Okay, now what we would be able to do, Mr. Hughes, in a moment, you can tell us, give us the facts
Okay.
that you see them. But I just want to make sure that you have no questions of the inspector based on her testimony.
No, do not.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Costello, what else do you have today?
I would just state, Chairman, that decks do need a zoning permit normally.
Okay,
Not an unusual requirement, that is standard.
okay. Is that because of space? And they're filling a space that wasn't originally designed for a deck,
Yes, anytime you commence a new use,
a new use? Okay, for that space.
yes.
Okay, and Ms. Costello, because this is unusual, that garage, is that garage permitted? Is any way to know that?
So we would not be addressing that today because they have not written a violation for that garage.
Okay, only the deck above the garage.
Only the deck above the garage.
Okay. All right, Mr. Hughes, tell us what you understand to be happening here.
It's that garage and the roof on top of the garage has been there since 1963. I have not
Okay.
done anything to that
Okay,
structurally wise. All I ever did was change my garage doors.
okay. Now, how long have you been a resident in that property?
What, 1/16/15,
I'm sorry. You-
January 16th, 2015.
You bought the house in 2015?
Yes,
Okay. And it was there when you purchased it?
yes.
Okay. What is the condition of the material above the garage? Is it a wooden deck? Do you use it for recreation? How is that?
No, it has a doorway out there, but it's just a black tar roof.
Oh, so it's not used as a deck?
No, it's not.
Okay,
The only
Mr. Chair,
thing
I
that's
have a
up there
question.
is an air conditioning unit.
okay.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
What constitutes a deck?
Okay,
I'm
that would
asking that question because if it's just a black flat top, can it be constituted?
as a
a
deck.
deck.
Can it be defined?
Yes.
Well, that's the question for the inspection, for the inspector, I
So-
would think.
So my follow-up question would be, Inspector Griffin, have you been up there?
No, I have not.
Okay,
Mr.
So
Chair, I have
we-
a question to
Not-
Mr. Hughes.
okay, Mr.
Hughes, you stated that there's a doorway up there. That doorway leads from your actual property to the blacktop above the garage?
Yes,
Okay, so. that-
inside the house.
A deck, along with the fencing around it, that constitutes the deck. If
Okay,
there was no doorway, Mr. Chair, leading from the property above the garage roof without the fencing around it. And if you notice, the fencing around it and to the rear of the alleyway above it, there's actual hooks along there, sort of like used for either clothesline or something, but there's a door leading to it. There's a fence around it. It constitutes a deck.
Okay.
One question, Mr. Hughes, is on your settlement papers in 2015, did it include the garage?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
okay, so, okay, any additional questions of Mr. Hughes?
Yes, was any of the fencing added or was it there when you purchased the property?
It was there when I purchased the property.
I have another question, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Hughes, how do you use that portion of your property above the garage?
I don't.
But there's availability to use it, correct?
Yes,
Okay. All right.
Okay. Are there, any of your neighbors have a similar configuration? Mr. Hughes?
No, not that I know of. It's a corner property, so I wouldn't know anybody would have unless you have a corner property, you couldn't have like
Sure.
a deck, or not a deck, a garage.
Okay. Does anyone, Mr. Hughes or the city, has anyone checked the record to see how that garage is noted in the record?
Excuse me, go ahead.
Ms. Costello?
Chairman Woodson, no, because we don't, right now, we can't discuss the garage itself because that is not what the violation's written for. The only thing that we can discuss is the lack of zoning permit for the deck itself, because that's what the violation.
Oh, yeah, but I'm asking a question regarding, they both are integral to each other, and just curious to know whether or not, if the city record, the public record indicates whether or not that garage was a permitted use at any point. That's what I'm trying to understand. Because if it isn't, that means Mr. Hughes may have a bigger problem at a later date. So I'm just trying to understand where that garage stands. Can anyone answer that question?
No, we can only.
Mr. Chairman, can we go into executive session?
Sure. Okay. All right, let's do this. We're gonna ask everybody to stand by for a moment. We'll go off the record.
Before we go into executive session, one further question.
Yeah.
Is that garage sitting in a space that may have previously been the rear yard? Or is there a separate rear yard for this property?
No, there's not. It's been there from as far as I could go back to 1963.
And is that in what would have otherwise been the rear yard when the property was built? Is there a rear yard to this house as well?
No, there's not a rear yard.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we're gonna go off the record and put us in an executive session, please.
Okay.
We ask everyone to be patient with us. Be back shortly. Yes, ma'am. Have a good day.
Thank you.
May I be excused?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, let's move on. I think we have
Mr. May, we have 31. Mr. Maynard is now present.
Okay, thank you. If you could read those two into
30.
Or read number 30 into the record.
Yes. Hearing appeal number 39920, John Ross, 3523 Kensington.
Okay, who's representing the city?
Good afternoon, members of the board. Jeffrey Cohen, representing the city in this case.
Okay, thank you. Who's representing Mr. Ross?
Good afternoon, Commissioner, members of the board. Wayne Maynard appearing on behalf of Mr. Ross.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay.
If I may, before the case proceeds, I think I may have mentioned this because I believe this is a case that was continued from an earlier date. At one point in my practice, I represented, I believe, not Mr. John Ross, but an LLC or more than one LLC in which Mr. Ross was the principal. I don't know that I had any dealings with this property, and it was approximately 5 years ago. But I just wanted to share with Mr. Maynard and the board the fact that I have had a prior representation of entities in which Mr. Ross was a principal. And Mr. Cohen, if he has any objection.
Thank you, board member. Random sound notwithstanding, I believe that I would trust your impartiality on this.
Thank you. Mr. Maynard, any comment regarding Mr. Pincus's statement?
I also would trust his impartiality.
Okay, thank you very much. Let us then proceed. Mr. Cohen, you have any witnesses?
Yes, but actually, before we begin with that, I would like to start with the established background, and I'd like to share my screen.
Okay.
Can everyone see on my screen the city's exhibits?
Yes.
I can.
Let's jump to page 4 to start. This is the appeal paperwork from pre-COVID times, February of 2020, noting that this is a notice of intent to cease issued February 3rd of 2020, but it's based on 718390. That's a violation case. There actually was a Blur appeal from that violation case. And here you have it, appeal number 39678 from 718390. And skipping over that, we do have a Blur decision of city affirmed on that, on 718390. So the underlying violations underlying the cease have already been affirmed. So really the question is, can we move forward with the cease based on violations that are now deemed admitted? And with that, I would actually like to call the inspector who was
Okay,
out there.
Mr. Cohen, before you go to the next inspector, I'm then not certain that why did the city not execute the cease?
Well, at the time, the violations were still under appeal. Actually, I can move to the next exhibit here. There was an appeal filed from the city affirmed decision. It was docket number, Court of Common Pleas docket number 2108-02555, which you'll note is August of 2021. So it took that long for the decision to be issued. And then it only recently, April 14th of this year, was that case, that appeal dismissed. Was denied, not dismissed.
Court of Common Pleas denied the appeal.
So it did take a long process through the pandemic for the violations to reach the point where they are now deemed admitted. And then it took a longer process for us to finally come to this hearing today, just to reach a decision on the notice of intent to cease that arises from the violations that it took 2 years to get to this point.
Sure, but my same question stands. The notice is written, the notice of intent to cease, the appellant appealed that notice. That was heard by the board. The board affirmed the city's position. That decision was appealed to Common Pleas Court. Common Pleas Court denied the appeal. Why are we here?
Oh, sorry. The appeal and the Court of Common Pleas case was from the underlying violations.
Correct. Which
So
supported the intent to cease.
But the notice of intent to cease was appealed separately, and the appeal of the notice of intent to cease was filed in February of 2020. And just going up to, so this is the appeal from the underlying notice of violations. You'll note the date is December 2019. So we're talking about 2 months before the notice of intent to cease. And this appeal wasn't decided until April of 2022, meaning there are these two concurrent appeals that are sitting, waiting for a resolution. The one underlying violations appeal gets resolved in April, but we don't get a hearing before this board until November of this year. So really, this is our first opportunity to have the board look at this notice of intent to cease after the affirmation of the underlying violations.
Okay, so the CCC matter was regarding the underlying violations.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Separate. Okay. All right. Thank you.
And now I'd like to call Inspector Smith, and we can go through her photographs from the recent reinspection.
Okay. So the issue really becomes in the evidence that's supporting an intent to cease.
That's correct.
Okay. Already. And the inspector is present.
She is. I don't know if she's unmuted yet. Inspector, there she is.
here. I'm here.
Okay. Inspector Smith, raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give today be the truth so help you God?
Affirm.
All right. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Cohen, please proceed.
Thank you. Inspector Smith, if you could just briefly say how long you've been with LNI and in what capacity?
Well, I've been with LNI about 9 years, but I've been with the city 16. And a license and inspection code enforcement officer.
And in that role, have you conducted inspections for LNI?
Yes.
And did you recently conduct on November 7th an interior inspection of 3523 Kensington Ave?
Yes.
And I'm going to jump to page 8 in the packet. Actually, I'll go back one to page 7. Did you take this photograph that's on page 7?
Yes.
And was that October 20th of 2022?
Yes, yes,
Thank you. And is this an accurate depiction of the property on that date?
yes.
The only thing I want to note about this photograph are these 3 windows up here at the top on the second floor.
Yeah,
And going down here, did you take these photographs on page 8 through, and forgive me, I'm going to scroll through them.
Yeah.
Page 8
Yes.
through 27.
yes,
And did you take those on November 11th?
yes,
And they're of the property 3523 Kensington Ave?
yes,
And are they an accurate depiction of the property on that?
yes,
date?
yes.
All right, so let me first start with asking, how many dwelling units are in this property?
2.
And how many bedrooms?
1, 2 upstairs, 2 downstairs,
And how many kitchens?
2.
So scrolling down, what can you tell us that you see in this photograph? And I'm just
This
going to
is
make this.
When you
Yeah.
come in the door, the hallway, first hallway on the first floor, you see the pool station is pulled away from the wall that's hanging.
And just to show the doorway
Yep.
that's in the center of this
That's the
photo, is that the
entry.
outside?
That's that's the entry.
Going down to page 10, is that a closer look at? the
Yes,
pole
that's a
station?
closer view. Yep, that's a closer view.
It's hanging by its wires.
Yes, it's off the wall.
And scrolling down to this
That's
page
the
11.
floor. Yep, that's the floor. In that hallway.
And
That's
is
the
the
ceiling.
same hallway?
Yep, that's the ceiling.
And just on the right here, that little red part on the right, lower right in this photo, is that part of the alarm box?
Yes.
Um,
Yep. here you
Photograph
go.
on page 13, is that the alarm box?
Yes.
Is it currently operational?
No. Is
Uh,
in trouble mode.
Thank you. And I'm going to show, the next photograph is a closer in photo of that same alarm box. How many
Yep.
different units are listed on the alarm box?
1, 2, I can't see what's the 2 front, 2 back, 1 rear. like
Sorry,
that.
I know it's difficult to tell because it's blown up, but when you were there on the 11th, how many units were shown on that alarm box?
1, 2, 2, and 1.
Thank you.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Uh,
That's the first kitchen. That's when you come in and you on the opposite side of that control panel box, that's the one apartment right there.
And just for the record, I'm now showing page 15. That's what the inspector was talking about.
Yes. Yep,
But yes,
that's
is
the
there
kitchen.
a stove and a fridge in that room
Yep,
that you were just
stove,
talking
fridge, zinc. Yes,
about? And what about these
That's-
ceiling panels?
they're like drooping down like from moisture or something. They're all messed up.
And you,
Some of them got
is that
stains.
the stain that I'm
Stains
pointing out
from-
on like the far
Yep.
panel? Is that
Yes.
water damage?
Yes,
And where is this room?
that's the room behind that kitchen. That's another bedroom. It's behind the kitchen.
Thank you. Scrolling now to page 18.
That's the back. That's the back door with a double key lock on it. The back door to the yard.
Is that a problem if you need to get out of the building in the fire?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. And you can see in this photograph on page 19, are those the same 3 windows that you saw from the outside on the second floor?
Yes. That's the second floor front bedroom, which was
And
empty.
what can you
The,
point out in this photo?
The ceiling is peeling due to a leak. They must have had a leak. It's all over here where you see mold
That
and the
was-
floor is messed up from the
Thank
leak.
you. And now moving on to
That's the
page
same
20, is
room.
that
That's the
just a
same room.
slightly
Another-
different view more to the left?
Yes, yes.
And this is page
The
21.
kitchen. That's the kitchen and it's supposed to be 2C. That's the back kitchen.
Okay, so this is
where
on the
other
second floor.
apartment is at. Yes,
And scrolling down to page 22.
that's the
what's
middle
that?
room on the second floor with a key lock. That tenant was at work.
So there's a separate interior locked door on the second floor?
Yes, it's to a bedroom.
But in your typical single apartment situation or even a duplex, would there be interior locked doors with just the deadbolt?
It
And
shouldn't be. It shouldn't be.
thank you.
Shouldn't be.
And page 23, which I believe is,
This is the floor, like, this is going to the basement.
yeah,
the
we're,
first floor.
so this is back down on the first floor.
Yeah, back in the first floor.
Now page 24.
Going
what
to
are
the
we looking
basement. The basement entryway.
at? Is there anything you can discuss about what's depicted in this photo?
This old peeling paint, we don't know if it got asbestos or whatever is on there, but it's peeling and falling apart. It's deteriorated.
And what is depicted here in page 25?
That's the electric panel box with the electric meter there. It's only one.
So there's only 1 meter for both of
It's
the
only
units
one
here.
for the whole place. It's only one.
Now, did you review L&I's records for this property before today?
Yeah,
Are
Yeah.
there any zoning permits or use permits to turn this into 2 or more units?
no,
Are there any building permits to convert this space, interior space, into a multi-unit building?
no, I didn't see that either. No,
And if there are, as there are a layout of 2 floors separated in this building, would you expect that there would be 2 electrical meters?
yes. Yes,
Scrolling down to
Yes.
page 26, what's
that's the
depicted
heater.
here?
That's the heater. It's only one.
Thank you. I was going to ask. And on page 27, what's
That's the
depicted
hot,
here?
hot water heater. It's only one.
And that's it for the photographs, but I would
Yes.
like to take the inspector to page 37 in the packet.
Mhm.
And just ask, when you were reviewing L&I's records, did you review the zoning archive?
Yes, because I was looking for a zoning to see, was it zoned, did they have it zoned for the two, the first and second floor apartments, but they don't.
I was about to ask, and this zoning permit dated September 15th of 1997, what use does it allow for this building?
Single family dwelling.
Does that
It's
what
supposed to be.
SFD, is that what that
Yes.
means?
Yes, yep.
And who was the applicant who applied for this in 1997?
John Ross Jr.
So same as the appellant.
Yes.
Scrolling down now to page 41. Oh, sorry. What is this that I'm depicting on screen?
Notice of refusal of a permit.
And who applied for this permit that got the refusal?
John Ross.
And was this, when was the date of the refusal? And if you need, I can make it a
June
little quicker.
28, 05. Date of
And-
refusal. Mm-mm.
And what was he trying to change the use to?
He was trying to, the application was for a rooming house with 6 rooming units.
And L&I refused.
Yes.
And you'll forgive me, I'm going to jump around a bit to make this a lot shorter. What is this document that I now have on the screen?
This is the refusal notice
What's the date?
for, what's the date? March the 3rd, 2020.
And who applied for this?
Who Frank L. Turner Jr. That's the attorney for the owner.
And the owner being John Ross.
Yes.
And what did he try, what use did he try to get with this refusal?
2-family dwelling in an existing structure.
And does the notes here underneath also indicate what happened with that 2005 refusal?
Yes. Case dismissed for rooming house with 6 rooming units in an existing structure.
And has this refusal been appealed to the ZBA to the best of your knowledge?
Yeah, Black does not require, yes.
Are you
Yes, yes.
certain?
Wait a minute. The proposed use is refused for the following. Okay, other use to other residential and parking and law. They didn't get it. They didn't get it.
Okay. And just to backtrack a little bit, Here's a Court of Common Pleas docket submitted as an official record of the Court of Common Pleas of Philadelphia County, just showing that 2005 ZBA appeal was further appealed and the appeal was then dismissed with. And with that, I would like to move certain exhibits into the record.
So moved.
Exhibits C2, C3, and C4. Those are the blur appeal from the notice of intent to cease and the photographs from this year that the inspector took. And I would like to move in exhibit C6 and C7 and C9. That's the blur appeal from the underlying violations, the city affirmed decision from blur, and then the court order dismissing the CCP appeal from that blur decision.
Okay.
And then exhibits C10, C11, and C14, which are the current approved use from 1997.
Excuse me, Mr. Cohen, I hate to interrupt you, but Ms. Smith has to be, Ms. Smith, you're in court. You can't hold other conversations, understand?
No, I'm trying to hold my.
But you're
Sorry, I think
disrupting
there's-
the proceedings.
Sorry.
I think there's some background noise, but
Yes.
the city would also like to move to admit C10, which is the 1997 current use, C11, the 2005 refusal, and C14, the 2020 refusal.
So moved. Thank you.
And I'll
Mr.
stop
Maynard,
sharing my screen at this time.
yes, Mr. Maynard, do you have any cross-examination?
Just one question, Ms. Smith. Were there any occupants there when you took the pictures that we've been shown today?
Yes, the occupants that's on that first floor front was there. Occupants on that second floor rear was there with the other kitchen there.
How many occupants?
2 and 2. There was 4. It was a mother with oxygen. I think that was her son or grandson, and a couple in the upstairs back room, the back apartment. They were there.
And the couple in the upstairs back apartment, were they related?
I don't know. I asked.
I'm
I
sorry?
don't know. I don't know if they were related, but they were. They lived there. They said they lived there.
Okay, so you said there was a total of 4 occupants?
Yeah, one of them was at work. That was at that middle room with the double key lock on. They was at work because they said he was at work.
All right, I have no further questions.
Okay, but I want to follow up on Mr. Maynard's question to Ms. Smith. Ms. Smith, if the person who was listed at work, if that person were there, if you counted that individual, how many people would be residents of that property?
2, 4, 5.
5.
Mm-hmm.
2 family units?
Yes.
Include that,
And one, yes,
and one additional person.
yes.
And at this point, you don't know if that person was related to anyone else in the building or not.
Right. I don't know.
Okay. Were there any other interior rooms with locks on them that were not accessible by you?
No, just that one and the back door, to get out.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Ms. Cohen, you have anything else?
No, just thank you very much, Inspector Smith. I
Thank
am
you.
very grateful for your spending your time being here. I would also point out to the board that whether the people in 2 separate dwelling units are related is not strictly relevant. The relevance of that is when people are in a single unit. If they are not related, then that could be a rooming house situation. But if they are in separate units, it doesn't matter whether they're related or not. The units are separate.
Okay. Oh, just to for clarity's sake, the building is currently zoned as single family?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And one further thing, it would be my understanding that the one unit with the door, the double lock, that was an additional rooming unit. Although it wasn't inspected, it's believed to be a rooming unit. So it would be 2 dwelling units and 1 rooming unit in that building.
Actually, Mr. Pincus, you are correct.
Yep.
Part of this is that it is 2 separate units, but there's also individual rooming units within those. It's a bit confusing the way that it's laid out, but it shouldn't be confusing at all, that it should be a single family dwelling.
Yes.
And the utilities should, or the facilities in there, the electrical, the water heater, et cetera, should be a single family dwelling, and yet it is not.
Thank you. Mr. Maynard, it's your turn.
I have no witnesses. I don't know why. I spoke with an authorized representative of of Mr. Ross yesterday, who indicated he would be logging in for this matter today, but I haven't heard from him despite multiple attempts to contact him.
Okay, thank you. Well, let's do this then. Let's go to closing arguments. Then, Mr. Maynard, if you have any closing statements, please make them, and Mr. Cohen will close it out.
I have no closing statement.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Cohen?
I will then keep this very brief. This should be a single family, as Mr. Ross knows, because Mr. Ross in 1997 obtained the use permit for a single family. And then he converted it, as the inspector testified, without building permits, use permits, a certificate of occupancy, which you would get after completing building permits. So on the one hand, there is a notice of violations that there is no use permit and no CO, and those violations are affirmed, they're deemed admitted. And on the other hand, we have the inspector who went inside and saw that there's no use permit, there's no CO, that it is laid out confusingly as a hybrid rooming house duplex thing, but it should be a single family. So that's why, on that basis, the city is actually included in its exhibits packet, part of code section A 505.1. But the lack of use permits, the lack of a CO, those independently support the issuance of a cease. And together, they absolutely support the issuance of a cease.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We will then poll the board with regard to appeal number 39920. John Ross, 3523 Kensington Avenue, City affirm.
City affirm.
City affirm.
Mr. Pettit, are you voting in this matter? Mr. Pettit is muted, but we do have a majority of the board voting.
I did not vote, and my vote is city affirmed, and I think.
Okay. Thank you. So that's, we have a majority vote city affirm. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you, Mr. Maynard. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank
May I
you
be
very much,
excused?
members of the board.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Chairman, I'll
Okay, let's
mark
go to
that-
31.
Will I mark that vote as recused for Mr. Pettit? Abstained?
Abstain.
Okay.
Let's go to 31.
31, hearing appeal number HA 2022 003824. Dawn Presbury, 5511 Springfield Avenue. Ms. Presbury is on the line. I believe she has a witness as well, but neither of them have video capabilities.
Okay, who's representing the city in this matter?
Good afternoon, Amy Skiles on behalf of the City of Philadelphia.
Okay, good afternoon, Ms. Skiles. It appears that we have a matter, issue here of identification. So is, Mr. Wade, would you unmute the appellant, Ms. Reverend Dawn Presbury?
While you're proceeding with the
Yeah.
record, please note that Ralph Pincus is leaving the meeting. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you, Mr. Pincus. Enjoy your holiday.
Thank you. You too, everyone.
Yeah, Ralph.
Reverend Dawn Presbury?
Yes, good afternoon, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Presbury, you don't have the ability to, for us to activate your video?
No, I have the landline phone. You know how you have the office phones with the landline and it just has mute and speaker on it?
Okay, were you aware that that you will be joining a Zoom call for today?
Yes.
Do you have a computer handy that you could log on?
No, I don't, sir.
Okay, Ms. Skiles, are you okay with her being sworn and basically having to confirm her identity?
I have no objection to that.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Presbury, what we're going to do is do two things. We're going to swear you in so that in fact you get to swear to who you say you are, and also that you will be truthful in these proceedings, okay? Okay, you need to speak up so we can hear you.
Mr. Chair, just one quick question.
Yes.
She has a witness. How are you gonna handle that?
Well, I'll get to that after I swear her in, then we'll get to a witness. Okay, Ms. Pressberry, would you raise your right hand? Do you swear and affirm that you are in fact Dawn Pressberry?
I affirm.
What is your date of birth
4/6/56.
and your current address?
5511 Springfield Avenue, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 19143.
And your last 4 digits of your social security number?
6932.
Thank you very much. And also, we'll swear you in regarding your testimony today. Do you swear and affirm that swear or affirm that you will be truthful in your testimony in today's proceedings?
Yes, I affirm.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, Ms. Skiles, you have a witness for today?
Yes, I will be calling Inspector Brian Conaway.
Okay, now before you do that, Ms. Pressberry, 2 things. You're identified here as Reverend Dawn Pressberry. Is that in fact how you should be addressed, as Reverend Pressberry?
Yes, I'm actually a bishop in the ministry, but many people may not understand bishop, So
Okay.
I just say Reverend Dawn Presbyterian.
Okay, and you have a witness today?
Yes, my grandson, Andre Johnson.
Okay, is he available to show his image on video?
I don't know. He's at his location.
Well, ask him to sign. Has he signed into Zoom yet?
No, I'm not available to get on Zoom at the moment.
And who are you?
Andre Johnson.
Okay, and we really would like to see your image. You can't use that. You're on the telephone. You have a smartphone?
Yes.
Oh, just start the video so we can see you.
I don't have the Zoom app. I'm on the call. I'm not on the Zoom app. I don't have that.
He called in by telephone. He'd have to log back in on Zoom.
Yeah. Yes.
Can somebody walk him through it? Maybe.
I think he knows how to do it. If he logged back in, just go to his email and log back in. But let's do this. We're wasting precious time, sir. We will swear you in. Do you swear and affirm that you are who you say you are? Give us your name, date of birth, and the last 4 digits of your social security number.
My name is Andre Johnson. 0273. I affirm.
And the last 4 digits of your social security number.
0356.
Okay. All right. Now, do you swear or affirm that you'll be truthful in your testimony today?
I affirm.
Okay. Thank you. All right, Ms. Skiles, please proceed.
Okay, and so I would call Inspector Conaway.
Okay.
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 Good afternoon, Inspector Conaway. Where are you currently employed?
I don't think I've sworn him in yet.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
Mr. Inspector Conway, raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you give today be the truth to help you God?
I do.
All right, thank you very much. Please proceed.
Okay, Inspector Conaway, so where are you currently employed?
City of Philadelphia Department of License and Inspection,
Okay, and how long have you been employed at the Department of License and Inspections?
6.5 years.
Okay, and are you familiar with the property at 5511 Springfield Avenue?
I am.
And how are you familiar with that property?
I was called to the property as a result of a complaint. Did an inspection on the property.
Okay. And with the board's permission, I will now share my screen.
Okay.
Okay. So Inspector Conaway, can you see the document that's marked City Exhibit 1?
Yes,
Okay, and what is this document?
this is a notice of violation.
Okay, and is this the notice of violation that you wrote for the property at 5511 Springfield Avenue?
It is
Okay, and what was the date of that notice?
August 20th, 2022.
Okay, and what are the violations that were issued to that property?
One is for the zoning. obtain zoning for a church and daycare, or restore the property to its approved use. And the others to obtain a certificate of occupancy.
Okay. And so why were those violations written? What was going on at the property in addition to the approved use?
There were signs for the daycare and also signs for church.
A daycare and a church?
Yes.
And have you spoken to the owner, Reverend Presbury, about these violations?
Yes, I have.
And what if anything, did she tell you?
Well, our initial conversation, she expressed to me that she was using the property as a child, as daycare and the church, and that she was going through the process of trying to get it properly zoned and so forth, but hadn't done so as of yet.
Okay, so I'm moving on now to City Exhibit 3. Was an intent to cease issued due to these violations?
Yes, it was.
Okay. And this is City Exhibit 3 is the intent to cease? Inspector, this
No.
City Exhibit 3 is the intent to cease that was issued for this property?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And what was the date that this was issued?
It was issued on September 23rd, 2022,
Okay.
with an intent to cease of October 3rd, 2022.
Okay. So I'm now moving on to City Exhibit 4, which is a series of photographs. Is this the property at 5511 Springfield Avenue?
It is.
Okay. And did you take this photograph?
I did.
Okay. And now this is a close-up of one of the signs that was posted. What is this sign advertising?
The Greater Philadelphia Society of Education and Training, offering quality Christian services.
Okay. And so the sign mentions tutoring and after-school programs for children ages 6 to 13,
That's correct.
as well as childcare for newborns to 5 years old.
Correct.
And does this sign also indicate the address where these childcare programs are offered?
Yes, 5511 Springfield Avenue.
Okay. And then moving on to, is this sign also posted at the property at 5511 Springfield Avenue?
Yes, it is on the front door.
And what is this advertising?
The Domination Abundant Power Baptist Church
Okay.
Ministries.
Okay. And so did you have any further, and I'll stop sharing my screen. Have you had any further conversations with Reverend Presbury?
I have.
And what did she tell you in those subsequent conversations?
Well, at the next conversation we had, she stated that she wanted to know why I kept delivering letters to her house. And I expressed to her, that the violations and what needed to be done to correct them. I told her that if she would allow us access into the property to verify what the property was being used as, that may correct the violations. Also stressed to her that she needed to take down those signs because she wasn't zoned for those signs. She expressed to me that it was her property and she could post anything she wanted to post. And that was that conversation.
So as of today, have you been able to complete an inspection to confirm how this property is currently being used?
No, I haven't.
Okay. And have any of the appropriate use registration permits or certificates of occupancy been obtained for either a daycare or a church?
Not as of yet, no.
Okay. And then I have no further questions for Inspector Conaway. I would just ask to move the city exhibits into the record.
Okay, so moved. Reverend Presbury, do you have any cross-examination of Mr. Conaway based on his testimony?
Yes, sir. On the 18th of August 2022, I believe Mr. Conway from Department of License and Inspections sent me a letter telling me that they investigated the property.
I mean, Miss Reverend, I asked you, do you have any questions of Mr. Conaway? Now, after, if you don't have any questions, that's okay. You can present your case in a moment, but I just need to make sure do you have any cross-examination questions?
Let's see. No.
Okay, all right, thank you. Ms. Skiles, do you have anything else?
No, nothing further.
Okay, all right, thank you. Reverend Presbytery, now is your opportunity to share with us your understanding of the facts.
Okay, thank you. Again, on August 18th, 2022, the Department of License and Inspection sent a letter stating that they had come out to the property and found the following violations on the property. So I did return the call to Mr. Conaway, and when I returned the call to Mr. Conaway, I told him that I believe he had the wrong property because 5513 Springfield Avenue, where I had already called regarding that property being demolition without a permit, and the guy's name was Kevin McHenry, and they had about 5 or 6 Mexicans over there that gutted the property out, knocked down the walls, and had to reframe and, you know, do the entirety over. And he had given me a problem, whereas I had to call the police department because when they were doing work out there, they damaged my property.
Reverend Presbytery, what I'd like you to get to is the issue of the violation notices that you have. Can you speak to that?
Yes, I can, sir. But this was the conversation. So I went on, so he went on to share with me to tell me that that was not why he was calling me. So I says, well, why are you calling? I said, what would you be calling me for? He says, well, first of all, someone had to call in on you in order for us to come out, you know. And I says, well, again, you know, I reiterated, you know, the situation with the fella next door not having permits and nobody contact them about the work. I said, so if you didn't contact them about the work over there, them not having permits, why are you, you know, bothering me? He says, well, you have a sign saying that you have a daycare, and you have a sign stating that you have a church. So I told him, I said, that sign for the daycare has been there since opening, which was about in 2009. I said, and the sign on the door stating that I had a church has been there since 2007. I said, if you look at the sign, you can see that the sign said a 5th anniversary for the church. I said, if I've been there from 2007 to 2000 and 5 years later, that's 2012. I said, no one has given me a problem ever other than once when we first moved. I said, and I went into court and I talked with the judge, and the judge asked me, do you have 300 members? I said, no. He said, you have 100? I said, no. He says, what do you have? I said, Your Honor, I said, we just have about 5 or 6 persons that come to service and, you know, Bible study. I said, I'm primarily here because of being a police chaplain for the 12th district. I said, I volunteer in my home. I live upstairs. I volunteered the living room to be able to provide services for a child care center that has given me occupancy for 6 children. I have license for that. I said, I have license for that. I said, and also for the church, I said, I called about zoning, and I was told that I did not need to have zoning change for the amount of people that is coming. So that was the same thing that I had to share with the judge, and the judge dismissed that case. Now, I said I didn't have a problem with
Reverend, what is the date of that hearing, and which court was that held in?
Was held at the city of Philadelphia. That was back in about 2007 to 2008.
Okay. Did you provide any evidence to the city when you made your appeal that occurred?
Yes.
You did, you submitted the paperwork?
Yes, I had to come in and then I talked to the judge.
No,
and
you
showed him.
didn't. No, you're misunderstanding my question. When you filed your appeal, did you submit the paperwork that you just described?
Oh yes, when I came in, what actually happened? When I came in, because I told this
Reverend, please. What I'm asking you, when you filed your appeal, did you submit photocopies of the judge's order or any other documents that you believe authorize you to have a church and a daycare in your home?
Yes, sir, but I told them that it wasn't open.
Let's just speak. You submitted the paperwork, and do we have that? I don't think we have that in the record. Ms. Giles, do you have that in your record?
I never received, I did receive some documentations from Reverend Presbury yesterday, but any court orders or court documents was not included in that exhibit packet.
Okay.
Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, when I came to file the appeal, I spoke with the young lady, Crystal, and I gave her, I showed her the documentations that I had with the provisional license and that sort of thing. She told me to hold on to them. After that, I talked to Mr. Conaway again, and I told him, I said, listen, I said, I filed an appeal because they sent me information regarding an intent to cease. I said, why would you send that to me? He says, well, because you have violations. I said, I don't have violations. I said, my daycare center has been closed prior to the pandemic. I said, because I had been ill, and also what we call here is a church, because I have a larger church, so I don't have churches, church service, daily church service, or abundance of people here.
Okay.
And I said, I've been sick. So, yes, I did. And then it was another notice. I did not talk to the lady yesterday. On here, I have it from Campus Copy Center. On the 18th, 11/18/22, it was emailed to, first it was emailed to, what is this?
Ms. Reverend, what are you referring to?
You should have the copies of what I'm referring to.
What is it? Describe it to me because we can't see it. So describe what it is. Are you referring to an email that you sent to someone, or what is it you're referring to?
Yes, it was an email that was sent to the Board of Administration of Philadelphia at philly.gov.
And who was it from? Who was it from? Who sent that email?
It was from the Board of License. Oh, who sent the email?
Yes.
Here it is right here. Copy Campus Center, 3907 Walnut Street. The telephone number is 386-6410.
Well, why would they send an email to the Board of Illinois, to the administration?
Because I sent in copies of, let me see, this is number one. I sent in copies. My cover letter says, water license and inspection, review hearing notice. I put on there the appeal, the document appeal numbers, and the date, which was,
okay.
And then it said down the bottom, it says, Dear License and Inspection Board, this letter is in regards to the location of 5511 Springfield Avenue, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Non-continuance of service has been closed with no activity as of COVID-19 pandemic, and being under the physician's care during this period until present. I've enclosed copies of the letter from my physician, which is Dr. Shielder, Jefferson Hospital, as well as provisional license of expiration as of May 17th, 2020 for child care services, and with no activity of the church involvement. And then the signs have been on doors since 2012.
Okay, let's do this. Let's do this.
Oh, excuse me, Your Honor.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
One thing I meant to share with you was that when I sent this to the Board of Administration at Philly.gov, I went out into my car and I called back to what's your number here to 686-2427, and I talked to Miss Kimberly. No, I talked to Dolores, and Dolores told me to send it to her to dolores.friends@philly.gov, and I had the Campus Copy Center gentleman to send it back to her. She was on the line. She stayed on the line the entirety while it came through, and
Okay.
she said she received it.
Okay, so you sent a letter. What date was that, please?
That was 11/18/22.
Okay, so
Right.
it should be in the record then. Okay, all righty.
Yes,
Okay, to Dolores. Okay,
yes.
okay, all right. Let's do this. One of the things that would be helpful, in addition to the materials, ma'am, is that if you would permit the inspector to have to inspect the interior of the property, that may have solved everything. Is there any reason why you didn't allow the interior inspection?
Well, he never asked. And number two.
Okay, wait a minute. He's
for.
That's the reason why he was at your house. So, but are you willing to permit? Or are you willing to permit an inspection?
Oh, absolutely. It's no problem because all it is the front living room. All he had to do.
Okay, let's do this
me,
now. We have we have other cases to deal with, so I just want to get this resolved. What I'm going to do is continue this matter till Mr. Conaway, the inspector, or another inspector from LNI will be able to inspect the interior of your property and they can review those other documents. That may resolve everything. Okay, but
so
that's.
Pardon me, Your Honor. When you ask for the interior of the property, you want to know where we had the church at?
No. What I'm asking you is Mr. Conaway or another representative of the department will inspect your whole house, upstairs, downstairs, basement, and the backyard. Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. They have to do that in order to close this matter out. We need to do an interior inspection, not just the living room. Okay. So what I'm going to do is ask that the staff schedule an inspection, and we will continue this matter until that's completed, and this may resolve things. And I would also request of you, Reverend, if you have to come back to a hearing, please do it on your computer or device that permits you to see us and we can see you, so that you can see the documents that we're dealing with, and so that you can understand how this is moving. You being on the phone is not very helpful. It creates a problem.
Right. I was concerned about that as well.
Yes. So let's do it that way in the future. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And also, if you could give us the address of your larger church building, that would help us as well.
Larger church building. It's under my other pastor that's under me, Reverend William Oliver. It's
okay. The address. The address.
2610 North Howard Street.
2610. Okay.
North Howard.
Okay.
Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
And what is the name of it?
Union Temple Baptist.
Union Temple Baptist. Okay.
Yeah, we were Union Temple Baptist. I think they just decided to change the name to Worship Center now because Pastor Oliver, he's been in rehab. We've both been sick, so.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much. Okay, Ms. Collins, we're going to continue this until we can hopefully resolve this. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. That's the end. That will end our discussion with this matter today. Okay. Thank you, Reverend Presley. We're over for today. Okay.
Your Honor, may I ask, would you please send another inspector out, because this inspector, as I was listening to the conversation, fabricated, saying that I, was rude and told him I could do anything I want. I don't even speak in that manner.
Okay.
So,
well, I can't direct.
Out of character.
Okay, Reverend I don't know which inspector will come to your property. So you may call and ask for someone else if you choose to. You can ask for Mr. Inspector Conaway's supervisor. I'm sure they will hear you out.
Call for her. They never returned the call.
Okay. I'm just suggesting as a way to do that, or you can get in contact with the lawyer who's handling this matter, Miss Amy Skiles.
Amy?
AMYSKILES.
Amy. Spell it again, please.
AMY, last name SKILES, the Philadelphia Law Department.
ILES. Her number, please.
I can give you are you ready?
Yes.
My office number is 215
Mm-hmm.
683
Okay.
8456.
8456. Okay, 215-683-8456.
Yes.
And can I give you a call tomorrow?
Yes.
That good? Okay, because whatever day you need to come out. I'm
Thank you very
available.
much. Yes, we're pressed for time. We have to get about 8 more cases. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Your Honor. God bless.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Okay.
You too.
All righty. Let's move on. I think we're back up to number 9, Mr. Wade.
Yes, we're up to number 9. How do you want, these all appear to be for different addresses, but for same type of audits and investigation unit appeals. Do you want them all read in?
Okay. Well, let's
case
do
by case?
this. What we will do, who's representing the city in this matter?
Good afternoon, members of the board. It's actually me, Jeffrey Cohen, and my colleague Desjanae Davis.
Okay.
We will both be co-counsel for the city.
Okay, you will co-counsel on all of them, or have you segregated them out?
On all of them.
Okay.
And we can read them into the record, if Mr. Wade wouldn't mind.
Okay, just for a moment, before you do that, who's
Okay.
representing the appellant regarding the Audrey Leckman Combat Plumbing Incorporated?
I believe it's Mr. Stanwood. I
Yeah,
believe the pronunciation is.
Jonathan Stanwood representing well, we'll defer to the name. Yeah, I'll give it to you in 1
I
second.
was gonna say, I think Andrei Levchenko, but he can correct us on the pronunciation
Okay,
of his own
as
name.
long
I'm
as
not an
Mr.
expert.
Stanwood, I just want to make sure someone was present. So you're present representing the appellant. Okay.
Levchenko.
perfect. Levchenko. Okay, thank you. So let's do this. I want to keep this as simplified as possible. And so I would encourage all of us to do that if we can. So Mr. Wade, what I'd like you to do is read each case number in and with the address associated with that particular violation. And then we will hear them as a group. And then when we vote, we will vote on each one separately.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so let's do it that way.
Chairman, can I just be heard on one issue before we start?
Sure. Well, I need to have, which case is it reference to, Mr. Stanwood, or is it the whole?
It's all of them. The numbers are 9 through 18 on the list.
Okay, what is your concern?
I'm requesting a continuance.
Continue. What is the grounds for your request?
2, 1, my client, Mr. Levchenko, doesn't have Zoom on his phone. He's going to call in, but from what I heard from the other, what you talked to the other people, you really prefer that it be Zoom. I would have him in my office if I had known that telephone participation is not an option. The other basis is that I had a witness, Ilya Chibatar, but he's now not available because it's 4 o'clock and he was available earlier, but at this point he's driving and he can't stop driving. So, for what it's worth, I'm requesting a continuance.
Okay.
Respectfully to Mr. Stanwood, the city does oppose because this isn't the city's appeal. This is Mr. Levchenko's appeal, and it's his responsibility to
Right.
prosecute it. That said, it's the board's decision.
Okay, so whose appeal is this? The city's?
No, Mr. Levchenko, we
Okay.
appeal their.
Well, let me ask you a question before we make a decision in this matter, and I would encourage other board members to also inquire in this. Is the company currently operating?
He is, yes.
Okay, is he operating?
Combat.
Well, I
Pardon me?
should be specific about the subject matter of these appeals.
Okay.
These are license violation notices, each citing a violation with $1,000 fine. So the subject here is whether these $1,000 fines are warranted, not whether Mr. Levchenko can continue to operate.
Okay, whether the fines are warranted. Okay, and the second thing, you indicated that your witness was a Mr. Chebatar,
Yeah,
and is he being presented as an expert or somehow involved in this
No.
property?
No, he's a fact witness. It involves, it involves the underlying basis for the violations. I'll just put it that way. I mean,
Okay,
I could give more details. I don't want to, say anything out of turn, but he's a fact witness, not an expert.
okay, meaning that he's factually engaged in the work that's being prosecuted?
Well, actually, just the opposite. But yeah, he's not engaged in the work that's being. I think he's alleged to have been engaged. That's the point.
Well,
Okay.
yes, the substance of each of these 10 violations is that at each of these 10 work sites, the work was actually being performed by Ilya Chebitar, whose license has been revoked, but was
Right.
at the time under suspension.
Okay, okay. All right. Okay. One additional matter. I see the image of Mr. Will Fernandez. I'd like to invite him to comment on the request for continuance. Mr. Fernandez, I guess the question I would have, what impact will the continuance have on your the city's position?
Well,
Oh, you know what? Before you speak, raise your right hand. I just want to confirm or swear that your testimony will be truthful. So help you God.
I do, yes.
Okay.
Chairman of the board, as counsel to the city said, what's at stake today before the board is the validity of license violations that were issued, and that if affirmed would result in fines. So with that said, while I would prefer to go forward today, we're ready to prepare our case. We're ready to present our case. We've already prepared it, thankfully. I would not be terribly upset at a continuance. However, I would ask that if a continuance is granted, it is kept as short as the board schedule allows, which I know is a large caveat. And this would be, of course, completely at the board's discretion, but given the potential length of this series of appeals, perhaps there should be some discussion of whether a separate listing or putting it a little bit earlier or after other cases would be appropriate.
Actually, I'm glad that you brought that up, Mr. Fernandez. I was actually going to, if the board chooses to continue the case, which we can hear it today, if the board chooses to continue, I was going to suggest a special session hearing that Mr. Stanwood and I and probably Mr. McSherry can discuss the scheduling of.
Okay.
Well,
let's
I'm
do
getting
this
ahead of
then.
myself.
Yeah, let's do this. Okay. And also because the key witness is not available, I would say this to Mr. Stanwood. If in fact we agree to continue this, the witnesses, whomever they may be, will need to change their schedules to be available on the date of the hearing.
Oh, yeah.
And however long it takes. Also, the appellant we would want them to have access to video, either through their telephone and or computer, or sit in your office.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I would bring him in my office. Again, I didn't know, I would have done that.
But I would expect, though, that an attorney who does work regularly in the city of Philadelphia doing a Zoom call would know that it's on video. So we would expect you to be prepared to do that in the future. What we will do, we will continue this matter. And I'd ask that the Mr. Wade and Mr. McSherry, whoever's appropriate, work with the city as well as Mr. Stanwood to come up with an agreeable time for the hearing. I prefer it not to be an additional day, but for it to be listed with a potentially shorter calendar for a Tuesday. That would be my preference. So if you could work that out, I'd appreciate it, and then we can get that done. So let's do this.
I would even agree to just having it must be tried if that's or however you would.
And that was the additional matter.
Yeah.
It must be tried going forward. It has to be tried.
I would agree with that.
Mr. Wade, I'd like you to read each one in, and then we will then issue the continuous order.
Okay.
Thank you.
Case number 9, hearing appeal number HA 2021-005-005, Andrei Levchenko, Combat Plumbing, Inc., 1916 North Oriana Street.
That matter is continued.
Case number 10.
One additional caveat that on a must be heard basis.
Agreed.
Case number 10, hearing appeal number HA 2021-005-006, Andrei Levchenko, Combat Plumbing, Inc., 1956 North Oriana Street.
Continue, must be heard.
Case number 11, hearing appeal number HA 2021-005010. Andrei Levchenko, Combat Plumbing, Inc., 1534 West Style Street.
Continued, must be heard.
Case number 12, hearing appeal number HA 2021-005012. Andrei Levchenko, Combat Plumbing, Inc., 521 West Norris Street.
Continued, must be heard.
Case number 13, hearing appeal number HA 2021-005016. Andrei Levchenko, Combat Plumbing, Inc., 523 West Norris Street.
Continued, must be heard.
Case number 14, hearing appeal number HA 2021-005018. Andrei Levchenko, Combat Plumbing, Inc., 1905 East Harold Street.
Continued, must be heard.
Case number 15, hearing appeal number HA 2021-005019. Andrei Levchenko, Combat Plumbing, Inc., 1907 East Harold Street.
Continued, must be heard.
Case number 16, hearing appeal number HA 2021-005020. Andrei Levchenko, Combat Plumbing, Inc., 416 Hoffman Street.
Continued, must be heard.
Case number 17, hearing appeal number HA 2021-005021. Andrei Levchenko, Combat Plumbing, Inc., 2208 Carl Street.
Continued, must be heard.
And case number 18, hearing appeal number HA 2021-005023. Andrei Levchenko, Combat Plumbing, Inc., 516 Winton Street.
Continued, must be heard. Okay, thank you. I think that resolves this matter. And I believe that resolves, excuse me, outstanding issues on today's calendar.
Okay, and Mr.
thank
Cohen,
you.
I'll be in touch with you to work out some dates. Do you want to talk about that now, or should we look at our calendars?
Well,
let's-
while you're
well,
doing that,
let's-
just before you do that, I'm going to ask Mr. Wade to provide an executive session room for us, for the board, so we'll
Oh,
move on
okay.
to that.
If
And
you
thank
can-
you, Ms. Rob, your day is done. Have a good afternoon.
Mr. Stanwood, I actually was
You
going to
should be
suggest
able-
that,
Are
I
we,
will
am I
email-
gonna stop the record, you stop the recording?